Hello, hello. Here we are again, coming to you from Broadcast Team Alpha on 44 different platforms around the world, and we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to get deep into the fringes of existence. In fact, outside of the fringes, into a spiritual realm of reality, because that is also a form of reality. And my name is Agi, and I ended up being the only host here tonight because my co-host is she's on a project and she couldn't come, so we're just gonna have to muddle through on our own here, and I hope we will do okay. And we are also transmitting on the Conscious Awakening Network. You got to go over there and have a look at that because they got close to 50 different shows over there that cover all the stuff that both you and me need to know about. And all the stuff that you're not supposed to know about. That's the good stuff, that. And before I introduce the guest, I also want to tell you how you can get a hold of me and get a hold of Nori. And you go to broadcastteamalpha.com and find the contact feature. You send us an email and we'll get the email and we'll get back to you and see what we can do for you. And then if you are watching it on YouTube, that's the place to be because there we can make comments and you can talk to each other, during the show. And also we can answer your questions afterwards or however you want to go about that. And I want to say a few things about our guest. She is over in Denmark. It is one of the, I think the United Nations, they had, every year they select one country that is the happiest country on earth. And I think Denmark was one of those countries that was the happiest country on earth a few years back. I think they switched it around from different country to make more country happier, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be, yeah.
Yeah. And, but Marzcia Techau, oh gosh, I didn't ask you how do you pronounce that. Was I close?
It was so nice, okay, so nice.
Okay, good. That is wonderful. And for those of you there now watching and you want to search the internet at the same time, you can go to her website, and that is Marzcia.com. I better spell that for you since you don't speak Danish. Marzcia.com. And she also have a book out. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff in that book because it really get deep. And that book is called Your Soul, Your Life. And there is, even in that title, there is some really interesting questions hiding in that. She is a biologist and award-nominated author. She is a Reiki master, psychic medium, and she's blending science and spirituality together so they can actually live under the same roof. And we can really do that if we start applying some of the principles of quantum mechanics also. And she, well, I said she's in Denmark, and I've been to Denmark a few times in my distant past, and I just drive through there. And one really fun novelty that I discovered was that they have a mountain in Denmark. It's called,
oh no, not the mountain.
yeah, Himmelberget. Isn't that correct? Himmelberget.
Yes, it's right.
I remember that. That is translated to English. It's the heaven mountain because it's only 140 meters tall, which is about, I don't know, 400 feet.
What? That's the highest pound. That's the highest place in Denmark. So,
yeah, that's almost funny, but it's not fun to the Danes because it's one of the flattest countries in Earth.
yeah.
Okay, well, we've been joking around enough here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Olga. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, I totally insist on having fun on this, especially when we have enjoyable guests like yourself. But let's turn a little serious for a moment, because your book can be humorous, but also there's some serious issues in there that people need to take serious. And I believe Your Soul, Your Life, I think you can find that on Amazon, right?
Oh, yes, it's on Amazon, and it's on every other online bookshops, and also in some physical bookshop, or you can order it in your bookshop, your local bookshop. So
That's
it's
good.
all around in the world.
We talked before we started the show that there is something that most people of the world, maybe around 99.468%, do not understand. What is the difference between soul and spirit?
Yeah,
What do you think?
I think they merge somehow. So when I normally have a part of my job, because I'm a spiritual medium as well, besides biologist and healer and spiritual teacher, is when I have this contact with spirit, and there it will be often a loved one that comes to give some kind of advice or help or support or healing to my client. And in that way, we call them spirits. But the spirit is also the soul. So when I connect with a spirit, I often ask for help so they could be recognized by the loved ones. So I have to have some physical things or mental things or access to their memories. They somehow supply me with the information that makes them recognized. And that part would be what I call the soul part, or the spirit part. But when I go deeper into where the message comes from, where the love comes from, I go to their soul. So somehow when I connect with them with the information that can get them recognized. But when we go to the really the really clear and pure part of the spirit, I go to their soul, because I know from their soul is only love and the deepest knowledge and wisdom that every soul contain. So I give the message to the loved ones from the soul, and not from the level where I get the recognition from. So I changed my focus from the spirit to the soul when I work.
So there is kind of a difference in interpretation of substance between the soul and the spirit. So in some way we could say that somebody dropped the body, commonly called die. Then let's say that person had no idea on spiritual issues. They were a total atheist. They believe that when you die, that's the end, nothing more. And then they find out when they die that, oh boy, was I wrong. Now what do I do? That entity saying that could be construed to be a spirit, but not necessarily the entire soul.
What we know from near-death experiences is that people, when they are clinical death, some of them actually experience entering the near-death tunnel, where there is light, where there is peacefulness, and where they often come in contact with angels or loved ones. So they actually have this really deep contact with other divine creatures, because I see our soul as a divine substance or consciousness. Without it's a normal consciousness as our brain, but more like a being. So I love to say it's like we have a divine being meeting other divine beings when we are in this near-death tunnel. And then, of course, when it's only a near-death situation, the soul or the spiritual being of you, which contains your life force, the power of divine, and also a lot of the wisdom that you have got from previous lives, past lives. So when that enters the body again, then the body starts to live up and start to, uh, um, have life. So for me, the soul contains a life force or force of life. And when the soul connects to the body, that life kicks the heart again and the body starts to live up. So in that way, we have a soul, and that soul lives forever. It's not like it's dying. It's here for living and experience, and it's here to do good, and it's here to involve. And in that way, you can say you are both a spirit and a soul that's divine at the same time that you are a physical living person. Because if you didn't have your soul, you wouldn't be alive. And that's what the near death experiences shows us. So when I communicate with the dead people or the spirits, it could also be spirits that's not people. It could be other kinds of beings, angels. It could be creatures living in
Yeah,
a
that's
really
right.
deep contact with the nature. It could also be from other planets. So when we are connected with the divine or this tunnel of light, which I see as a dimension, we have access to so many dimensions and so many places, because when we are there, time doesn't exist, and the physical realm doesn't exist in that way. We are connected with everything, and everything is connected with us. We are part of the divine, and the divine is a part of us. So we are also a part of the creator, and the creator is a part of us as well. It's like one being, and still, as I often tells us, like it's a drop of water that comes into the sea or ocean. So the water in the ocean is the big divine
Yeah.
consciousness of everything. And the little drop of water is your soul, and it's just connected to the water all the time. It's still water. Even it's a drop of water, it's still water. And in the ocean is water. And that's how I see it. We are always connected. And if you are alive, you're connected with your soul. If you weren't, you wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense for me. That was very good explanation. And I have one question for you, and I'm gonna ask that question on the behalf of my co-host Nori, and she
Mm-hmm.
didn't. She doesn't know I'm gonna do this, but
But but
she have a little dog, a Chihuahua,
mm,
Pixie,
mm.
and can we say dogs, cats, parakeets? Do they also have souls?
For me, yes. As I see every living being, trees, plants, cats, dogs, have a soul. Maybe not in the same way as we think soul as human beings, but it's still a part of the divine, and it definitely has a soul. So when I have a I have psychic medium school, and when I teach my students some of the skills, abilities to train to contact with their abilities, I use a training which is to sit still and tune in to have a contact with a big tree, both to sense the aura of the tree, the energy from the tree, the tree's soul, and also to start to connect telepathically with the soul of the tree, and that exchange of love and actually some kind of consciousness exchange between the tree and my student. And that's really mind-blowing for many of my students, that actually is a living being that's able to be having some kind of discussion or exchange with. And that idea of that kind of training I got from this old book from James Redfield, this really old prophecy of, I can't remember the whole name of that, but it was also some of that work that started up the idea for me to make a plant research study in my master degree with healing plants that received healing from healers. So in that way, plants have a soul, and I also see it like animals have a soul. And what's interesting I see with animals is that animals close to people often not only just have a soul, sometimes they, in my opinion, also is incarnated guides that help a person through difficult times in their life, or help a kid to stay connected to their heart in an environment that will not help them to keep their heart open. So many animals I see as healing animals, that they actually heal their owners and help the owners to be themselves and be alive in the physical realm. So animals do definitely have a soul, and many of them also have a soul that's much bigger than you normally would think an animal had. So spiritual guides comes in many forms, and animals are definitely one of them.
Absolutely. I totally agree, because many years ago I had a dog that died, and not long after that he came and visited me, and there were no question. That was Puff, the name of the dog. That was that dog. There was no question about it. So I know there is and that spirit or soul essence of the dog has consciousness, because he knew what I would recognize as a contact.
Yeah, it's so normal for me to have contact with animals on the other side that wants to say hello to the owner and help the owner. And it's also like many owners, when I work with a client earlier, when I had clients, now I'm more into the teaching part. Then it was like they didn't want to have contact with their loved ones. They only want to have contact with their pets. And in that way, when I could have a really good contact from the other side with their husband or their mother, but what really touched their heart was when the animal, like the cat or the dog, was coming and gave some answers there. So the animals on the other side are a part of our life, as well as our relatives on the other side is. We are not disconnected. They have just changed into another form that's, for me, is the soul form or the spirit form.
Yeah. I want to hear more about what you have in the book also, because you got some really interesting concepts in there. But I got one quick question first. And I think a lot of people listening here, as watching the videos, they are wondering, we hear about a lot of people are talking about the simulation that we might be in. And is it life, or is it a simulation that we are in? And then again, if it is a simulation, what is the purpose of the simulation? I want to hear your take on this, because I know you're getting deep in your thoughts, and this is something that people should give some thought to.
Yeah, I really feel that this life is a precious life. So I don't think it's a simulation in that way at all. But I really think that it's much more than we see when we see with our physical eyes. We have to open up our concept of what life is and include the spiritual dimension. And for me, it's like I feel the soul within me, and I feel that the soul is creating my life. My soul is creating my life. And if I'm not living in contact with my soul, it could be other things. It could be other people's opinions. It could be trauma that would create my life. So in that way, I'm very keen about being in contact with my soul and trying to live so much in contact with my soul as possible, because I know my soul is divine, and really that the soul is here to make the living physical world divine as well. So maybe actually the earth could be paradise, or maybe the earth is paradise, but we have disconnected very much from the divine and our soul in the life we live right now. We have to reconnect, because Mother Earth, nature, our life needs the soul to be radiating out and supporting life. So in that way, I really don't think it's a simulation, but I think it's a real life, but the real life is much bigger and have many more dimensions than we normally think. We have a reduced mindset, and that makes it difficult to really tap into life and feel the love and the divine, and not so much. For me, the soul is here to live and spread light and love and ideas and inspire, and also give a lot of life force to what it's connected with. But the trauma and the surviving mechanisms that we have a lot of surviving strategies that makes it difficult to live in contact with the soul. Because when you have trauma, if you're afraid, if you're angry, if you're afraid of having less resources, or you fight for resources and everything like that, you really push out your soul, or you lock your soul in trauma somehow. I see it like when you have a trauma, your muscle locks around something that you cannot digest. And that makes a trauma in your body, in your nervous system. And it could be somehow locking your soul in. You can't connect with the soul, or the soul can be, pushed out of your body. Not all of your soul, because you're still alive. So in that way, I really think that maybe everything is at the same time. So we have so many different parallel universes and lives. But I still think that this life is important as all the other lives is. And maybe everything is at the same time. It's not like we have this, really linear ways to live our life. It's not like that. I really think it's much bigger. So I really think deeply that we have this living life, but it's precious. We only have this life in this physical body with those people around us that we are connected with right now in this form. But we may have another life parallel to this where it could be exchanged, or we could have past lives where we have been with the same souls but in different relations. And what's important is we have this life, only this life in this way, and we have to pressure that. We have to really make it work the best we can and do good when we are here.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and for people that is into science really deeply, they will hear the quantum mechanics principle say there's a 93% chance that we live in a simulation, but there's still 7% left that makes this actually real.
Yes.
And even if it was a simulation, what is happening here is important. It has a purpose. There's a learning that has to be taken serious as a point of what we call life.
Yes, I really think that's really important. And of course, there is science that could say that there is a really big chance that this is a simulation. But again, remember, science and statistics is only like it's not. It's more like it might be like that. There is a very good possibility that it's like that. But if you don't take soul and divine into that equation, how can you be sure? There is so many parts we don't really know yet because we are limited in our way of researching, and that's science. It's I some part of my life earlier. I went, as we can go in past life and see, seek the knowledge of what you have been learning in past life, or the karmic trauma and everything like that. You can actually also go into the future. And a part of many years ago, when I was really, annoyed or frustrated about, I really wanted to investigate the divine, really healing and the divine's interactions in our life. I really wanted to investigate the organ of life. How did it occur? How is it possible? And what's the divine part of that? And I'm I'm a biologist, so we are very much into nature science. And of course, I have been working with other kinds of, more qualitative and quantitative research strategies. So I also work with anthropologists and other kinds of
sciences,
of researchers, scientists, and some part of me was like, okay, I have to find out. It's like it's too difficult. I cannot really what I have in my heart. I cannot study that. And then I went into deep meditation and healing meditation. And I went into this, what I call the pillar of light, which is actually also the same dimension where it's the near-death tunnel. So when I work with the spirit world, I use this near-death tunnel because I know there everybody is connected, everything is connected. So I can go into past lives and I can also go into future lives. So here I ask, when will it be possible for me to really make that research that I have in my heart, which is my calling? And then I went 200 years ahead. It's like, okay, I will not use my time now being angry about a research I can feel I have within me that I cannot do because the time is not right yet. The human the humankind haven't developed yet to make the research that I can feel is the one that I really want to research in. So in that way, it's like it was easier for me to let go of research and study and go even more into my spiritual path. And that way, so I know that we are limited. We are still limited in how we perceive the world and how we see it. And as a researcher, we have still many things that are not developed yet to research the thing that's really the essence of life. It's becoming better and better, and there's many ways around it, and it's really important steps everybody takes right now. And the quantum physics is one of the really important steps, but for me, I will wait 200 years till I will arrive again in the next incarnation. And for me, it's also really important there will be an Earth in 200 years, because I have sensed that this life I will have in around 200 years, it was this Earth. So in that way, it also gives me hope.
200 years from now, you may look different and have a different name. That's the only difference.
That's
changed.
The only difference. Yeah, my soul will be the same soul. It would be wiser though, because I will probably have a lot of other incarnations before I enter that life.
Okay. Now, gosh, I see we are at the bottom of the hour. And for those of you that joined us late, we are talking about Marzcia Techau. And we are talking about what's the soul, what's spirit, and what is behind the curtain that we're not supposed to know yet before we drop the body. And it got deep. But now I want to hear more about what she have in her book. And if you have a book there, show it off so people can see it.
I have this one.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
it's
That's the
like
one.
it's me.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
No,
That's the
so
one
it's
you're gonna look for. That one on Amazon, and you'll find it. Now,
yeah.
in there, you talk about epigenetics, and you talk about, let's say that we have a phobia today. Let's say for the life of me, I wouldn't dare to go in the ocean and go swimming. There could be a reason for that. Maybe my
Mm,
grand, and two more grandfather drowned. It went into the genetics and it came down the pike and ended up surfacing in me. What
yeah.
do you think about things like talk about what you there are healings that can be done and you deal with that. So explain
Yes.
how this can be done.
First, it's really important actually, even though epigenetic research is quite old, it's first really starting to be acknowledged now how much it is affecting our everyday life. So we actually live with gene expressions that are made so many 100 years, maybe 1,000 years ago. And our society today is different. So we really have to look into what autopilots do we have from our ancestors. And is those autopilot actually serving us very, very good in our life today? If no, we have to do something about it because we will
Yeah,
just go into repeat. And what I think is interesting is that now you talked about the trauma, but it's also the good things. So you are good at something. Maybe you are good at painting. Maybe you're good at making research. Maybe you're good as a healer. And those ability lies within your genes as well. So some of your ancestors did use those abilities, and now you can use them. So you both have good things from your ancestors, but you definitely also have the trauma and the fear and some patterns that will make it difficult for you to be you. And
yeah,
the problem is you cannot solve or digest or release other people's trauma. You have to do that in some kind of relation with them. And in that way, I use the science part where they have found out these epigenetic things are real. So if you have suicide in your family, you are much more it's much more possible that you actually will end up having suicide or being depressed because it lies within your lineage. And it could be a long lineage that has that problem. So what I normally do here, I connect with many cultures, past cultures and also cultures right now, indigenous cultures, use the contact to the ancestors to ask for help or advice. But when I have developed this epigenetic healing where I use the mediumship, I use the context, the ability to be in contact with the ancestors, with the loved ones, and I ask them to come and heal my client. So if you have a trauma or you have some patterns that actually are connected to your lineage, then they can come and help. Then they really want to come and help you because they want you to succeed. I have had a lot of training from Maui, from Hawaii, from a Hawaiian healer that's called Sean Kiahi. He's late now. Sadly, he's died a couple of years ago. But I managed to have a lot of training with him, and he talked about that you are the crown jewel of your family. So when you are here, you are alive. You are the crown jewel. You carry the future within you and the past within you as well. And your lineage, your family, your ancestors really wants to support you to do good, to succeed. Because if you succeed, the lineage, the family will succeed. The future will succeed. And you are strong because your lineage, your ancestors have survived. Because if they didn't, you wouldn't be here. So you have the survival power, you have the strength to adjust to the life you're in, the culture you're in within it. And what I do when I open up for the healing, I actually ask the ancestors to come and heal. So the one that have made the trauma, the one that have drowned, many generations ago, will come and heal. He's on the other side now, and he's able to take responsibility for his trauma and for his mischief and his misdoings. And in that way, they can release a lot of things within your system that you're carrying from your ancestors, but will not serve you anymore. And in that way, they are the only one that really can heal it. And they are so much ready to heal. And in that way, your whole lineage will raise the level of vibration, because when trauma and negative thoughts and beliefs are released from your ancestors and from you, there will be a raise of vibration in the whole lineage and also on the earth, because they have been having life on earth, they have been setting energy marks on earth, and those marks will still be here. But when they heal up, the energy, the heavy energy, will be released. The conflict between families or different people will be released. So there is a really, really huge amount of healing that can occur when your ancestors actually come in and take responsibility for their actions. And they also come with a lot of energy for you to raise your level of energy and raise your vibration and make your soul even more present within your everyday life within you, so you can create your life from your soul instead of the trauma from your lineage.
Well, that sounds complicated.
It's easy. It's just combine yourself with the healing energy, ask for help, hold the space, and let them do the work. They want to do the work, because if this part is not solved, they have to go back and solve them. So they have to have another life. They have to incarnate again. And then they have to take all the junk. It would take a whole life to, clean up the mess. And here, when they're on the other side, they need a physical living relative that has the genes, that is ready to make the healing process, and then they can do it. And then they don't have to come back to incarnate to take responsible there, and it will take years before they're ready to do that, and blah, blah, blah. Now it's more like an instant healing for the whole lineage, and that will raise the vibration of humankind very fast. They don't have to incarnate again. Maybe they could, but they don't have to do it to solve the problems and trauma, because they have done that through a living relative, and the living relative would release the trauma from the ancestors. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, and coming back, if they had to come back again, that's a wild card, because you come back here with amnesia and they may miss it again.
Yes. Life will make sure you won't miss it. So that's the part of life. You're standing there looking at your challenges. You can't go past them. You have to go through them or somehow find your way around them. But they will definitely be very clear when you are born again.
Yeah. Well,
so epigenetic healing, for me, as I see it, is a really, really strong way to help yourself, and humankind at the same time, and help your lineage. So I have many mothers coming to my courses, my healing courses, with the wish of stalling things for themselves and for their children and grandchildren. And your ancestors stand there ready to do that, help you, heal you, and help themselves and heal themselves. They heal each other on the other side. They just need a physical living person, relative, that's ready.
Yeah. And it may enter somebody's thought here that, well, that ancestor was way back there. They're probably already incarnated someplace right now. But
Yes,
that doesn't matter, because soul can come and visit. The soul is not in the
exactly.
body. It is around, and it visits every so often. It does go places and do things and come back and visit again.
Yeah, it's more like that your soul is always connected with you, but it's much bigger. Your soul is in constant contact with the divine. And if you read about Michael Newton's research, he has found out that we are not incarnating with all our souls every time. So
Yeah,
a big part of our soul could be like Brian Weiss's book, where he talks about one soul, many masters. That your soul can actually be reincarnated, but the memory and the divine contact means that you can still connect with that soul, even though it's incarnated. And maybe only a part of the soul is incarnated, and then the
yeah,
rest is still accessible. So, so again, we have to broaden our concept about what's life, what's soul, and how many possibilities we have, and how many dimensions we can live in at the same time.
yeah. How many dimensions do you think there is?
I, I,
Infinite?
yeah, I would say so. It's more than my consciousness and my brain can
Mhm.
ever imagine. So I would say it could be infinite. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that, because there are some people out there that think they know something. They're saying there's 12 different levels of existence.
I
Well,
think there's just
I,
more than that. Yeah,
yeah, I think they're missing that one.
yeah.
There is more. But both
It's
that
it,
way have been higher and lower vibrations, and
yeah,
also parallel.
yeah. I think it's interesting because uh, we know dark holes, or the dark matter, and and that's really heavy matter, and there is this that we come from dark matter. So there's a really heavy, low vibrate, intense thing that's could be our start, and
Yeah,
it's still
okay.
divine.
Yeah.
As a, normally when I talk about the soul, I talk about it like the deep sea. It's like we have the ocean, we have the deep sea. Like the soul is the like a stem cell. Our soul is like everything could be different into anything. So our soul is like this stem cell. It
Yeah.
it it could be a skin cell. It could be everything. It could be a brain cell, but like it could be a tree. It could be
Hmm.
so so the deep sea has this really heavy dark. It's dark there. You know you have this you have the fishes that have no eyes because it's so dark. So
Yeah.
the soul could have that and still also have access to the surface where it's light, vibrant, and it could be like the wind or the fog that's also water. So again, we don't really know, but we will find out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll find out. But just a little while ago, you mentioned the word. You said God.
Yeah,
What is that?
I'm normally I'm more. It's like the word God is much more connected to the Bible, and I really more like to use the word the presence of God, and I see that like a divine consciousness as like like maybe the way I normally explains it is like you're a part of your parents. So if we are a part, if we are children of God, then we have the divine within us. We have the divine, the creator within us ourselves. So in that way, I see the consciousness of God as something very big that we are part of. Maybe the cosmic divine overall soul from all universe, the all universe, not only our universe, but all all the universe that's so big that we cannot access it right now. So for me, it's like,
so it could be
it's a presence. Yeah, sorry.
The creator of all.
Yes, and I don't see it as not a man, not a female. It's more like a woman. It's more like a being. Again, when we are connected with our soul, it's more like we are being in a divine being. And I see this super divine being as a part of us, and we are part of that. And in that way, we are all divine creatures.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, there's some biblical evidence for this. If you look in John's, it tells you who God is. It says, you are gods.
Mm-hmm.
And also in Psalms something or other, it says, heaven is within you. It's not up there, it's within you.
And I think that's very important, because you're not disconnected from the divine. Yeah. You're not disconnected from your soul. Your soul is not disconnected. The soul is connected. It is divine. It's a part of the divine. It's always connected. That means you're alive and you're always connected to the divine. You are connected to this really, really loving, healing, powerful source. And it's you. And it's everybody. It's not like you are more than other. All of us are living creatures with the divine within us. And when we start to connect more with our soul, we connect with the divine part, and we start to live a life that brings the divine to earth. And the earth needs that presence of the divine. And that's actually what I feel our soul's purpose is. It's the purpose, it's why we are here.
Yeah.
It's to have that contact. Because when the soul is not having a physical body or a life, we are between lives, where we are connected with the divine. We are divine, like, again, the drop in the sea. And when we have an incarnation, we are the drop of our soul is connected to the physical body and makes the physical body divine. It's like, when do the soul enter the body? And for me, it's like when the egg cell meets the sperm cell, and that means there is photos where there's a little light when those two meet. It's like an energy exchange. Or maybe it could be the entrance of the soul when the two cells are starting to multiply. And that the soul is a part of that. And that's why I see it like the soul is within us. It's not like we are in a simulated world, or the soul is you sense the soul and then the soul is outside. It's more like the soul is within us. It's like when you start to really reckon that you are the soul and you're much bigger than your physical body, then your physical body can start to relax. Your soul will be surrounding your cells and radiating out from you, and the body will be in contact with life force within your soul and the knowledge and your resources that you have with you. And that's a really, really strong healing energy.
Mm-hmm. Now, I got another quick question for you, and that is, you deal with when people contact you, let's say for healing, you also can call in the ancestors to help out, maybe talk to them, have them come and help out. But what about there are other situations? Let's say they have attachments of the outside influences that is attached to the body to there to feed on you mentally and spiritually. Negative entities. Do you ever run into anything like that?
It's where I normally one of the things that I have been making in the start of my career as a spiritual medium was actually really much of this working with earthbound spirits that when you're not really passing over, because somehow, the pillar, what I call the pillar of light, but the near-death tunnel was presented, go to the light, but the dead one didn't go to the light. It didn't see it, or it was so closed within trauma or locked habits that didn't, they didn't go into the light. And some of them don't really, I call them unclear death. They don't really know that they are dead. And if they do, they don't really know where to go. And if you were, a house Theron, that you use dominance very much to make other people fear you, because energy is energy. So negative energy, when you're afraid, the other person that actually makes you afraid gets energy. So in that way, some of those earthborn spirit or hanging in this earth plane, they just continue having those really bad habits, and that will affect the living in connection with that. So when I come out making my job there, I start to say, okay, which living person is affected by that dead person? And then I have to find the dead person. And many times it shows that they have different kinds of trauma or habits, or they have developed that way of being away from their soul and into the trauma, all the habits or surviving modes. They could have been rejected as a kid, or they have been lost their loved wife or something like that, and they have closed their heart. And when you have closed your heart, it's difficult to connect with your soul. So when you should go to the light, they don't go to the light. So I actually see it as a healing assignment. So I have to heal the dead one to make the dead one go into the light. So it's a healing where I ask for help from the ones that are on the other side that knows the dead person, because the dead person actually have to be together with the loved ones on the other side. And then I have to heal the living one, not to come in contact with people, not to be dominated by a person. So it's also a healing assignment for the living, so they will not open up for being in contact with energy that's not good for them. So I have two healing assignments when I have a house clearing or a healing in that way, the dead one and the living one. And then a training, because the dead one the living one that affected by the dead one often has psychic abilities that's untrained. So I have to train the one to be more aware of that they have the ability to be in contact with the spirit world. And they have to be trained to do it the proper way. So that's how I work with it.
Yeah. So what are all the things that you can help people with?
What?
The healing and Reiki, and what are the other things that you can help people out with?
I would rather say it in that way that my book, Your Soul, Your Life, is a tool for self-healing and insight. So that book is actually a help for you. You don't have to go to a healer or a medium. You can actually start to understand how your physical body sense. You have a sensory system that you can start to use to sense the spirit world and the healing energy. And you can start to heal your trauma. And you can start to let go of stuff that you have been collecting throughout your whole life. What's not yours. So environments that you have been in as a child, what you have picked up from your mother and dad. So you can start to make inner child healing work to release you from energy that not yours, beliefs, physical things, patterns that actually not yours. You can use the ancestor to the epigenetic part as well. I also talk about how you can deal with karmic transferred trauma and soul retrieval. So every time you heal up in some difficult stuff, you get contact with your soul and you can integrate your soul. You can have this soul retrieval. But also when you develop yourself into taking new areas of interest up, you can actually get access to that knowledge and that capacity within your soul, and it can be integrated. So you also can retrieval soul because you're ready to say yes to another path or new development in your life.
Yeah.
And the book will help you with that. There is healing meditations there is exercises, there is case studies from my students and clients. There is stories from my own life, how I go through that experience of being alive and standing in front of challenges and developing myself from that way. So that book would be a very good help for the one that seeks to live more in contact with yourself and start to regulate your nervous system together with the spirit world, the pillar of light, your guardian angel, or the loved ones. So you will not regulate your system from the chaos surroundings around you. So you can actually take responsibility for yourself and start to be in contact.
That makes. If I wanted to summarize that, the book would be kind of like a self-help manual on how to use self-healing, as well as create more of an understanding of why it happens, because things work so much better when you understand why it happens.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why I have been working with different chapters in this book, because maybe you have inner child issues from your childhood, or maybe it's epigenetic from your lineage, or maybe it's karmic, and maybe it's from this life. So you can actually use the book to work in any kind of trauma and developments that would help you to live your life more in accordance with your soul. So it's like it's very easy, and thousands of Danes have used the book already, because of course it was out in Denmark before it's out in the world and in English. So it's there. It's ready to use, and that's what I really find deeply is the most important thing right now. This book can help to raise your energy and your vibration, and it will also help the world to lift their vibration, because if you heal, so much more is healing as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when people have a problem, sometimes you're not able to solve the problem by yourself, but you look to people that have, well, there's a saying, when you walk through a minefield, follow somebody with bigger shoes than you have. So, and Marzcia have bigger shoes. That's why she wrote that book, because in there's a manual on how you can use your self-healing ability to solve the problem by yourself. And most people trust themselves better once they understand what they're doing, and believing it is a big part of it.
Yeah, and again, now you say by themselves, but it's together with the spirit world.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference. It's together with the ancestors that can help you, the angels, depending on what the dimension in the spirit world that you are most aligned with. They will be there helping you. You're not doing it alone. The healing energy will be present around you.
That makes sense, because and we have to open the door for them to come by asking.
Yeah.
And I say we're down to the end here, but I got one last question for you. And I didn't tell you this because I wanted to blindside you. And that is, if you could talk to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
Then I would tell them that we are divine creatures, and there's a future, and there's hope, and there's love and healing.
Yeah.
And it's for everyone.
It's all within us.
Yeah.
We're it.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for being with us. And for those of you out there still here with us, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. That'll help us a lot. And also, until next time, be good to each other.
Yeah, and